Your external experience is not separate from your internal world, internal state. Your perception, behavior patterns, your actions and reactions, all of these shape what you encounter in your life. And this is what is meant when people say that your reality is the mirror of your inner world. So I'm going to dive into this topic. I'm going to show my own experience. I'm going to share my stories, how I found proofs that my outer world is the mirror of my inner world. So let's get started. Have you ever thought how inner tension reflects outside? I thought about this. So when you feel tense, when you feel irritation or emotionally overloaded, so small negative things tend to occur in your life. For example, you start stumble while walking, you hit your head, any part of your body, you cut your finger, you misjudge movements, or even object falls on you or maybe from your hands. That was happening with me lately, unfortunately. So you might think that this is something random. It seems like that, but actually it's not. So from physiological perspective, tension affects on your motor coordination, your attention, and your physical reaction, like your reaction time. So also, there are studies in cognitive, psychology, yes, and these studies show that stress narrows your attention and it reduces the precision in movements. And that is why your body literally becomes less aligned. So when you are literally and fully full of tension, stress, your external environment starts to be chaotic. But it seems like that. Of course it is. But in reality, actually, the only thing that changed is your interaction with your external environment. It's just you are not fully present and you start making mistakes. So can I say that there is some kind of mechanism behind it? I can say yes, definitely, because behind all of these you have attention distortion, you have emotional filtering, and also body tension. So the first one, attention distortion, is when your mind is occupied with your future, your past, any kind of imaginary situations, your thoughts, and you stop seeing clearly, you misjudge distances, and you stop react fast. The next one is body tension. It's very obvious because when your body is in tension, when it's tensed, definitely your muscles become more rigid and you stop moving naturally. The most interesting one is the emotional filtering. It's when you put on the filter and you look through it. So you start seeing things negatively if you put on a very negative filter, and you consider neutral events as negative ones. If something bad happened, maybe a small thing, for example, you cut your finger or you hit your elbow, whatever, you couldn't handle this negative emotion, and then something else happened. By itself, next event, it's neutral. But you considered it as a negative also. So you got this negative emotion, you couldn't handle it, then you reacted on the second event also negatively, and this negative reaction created a negative outcome. That is why it's really important to understand what kind of filters you put on. Your internal state filters perception and influences your behavior, which then shapes outcomes. And what about positive reflection? We have already talked about negative reflections. Now let's talk about positive ones. So it's absolutely the same mechanism. It could be different, but it is absolutely the same. You just put on a very positive filter. And then you don't have this body tension because you're calm, you are at peace, you are joyful, what else, you may be happy, and you are fully present. Then you, of course, your movements become more smoother. You can notice some kind of details. You also respond instead of react. And I think because of it, you make fewer mistakes. So because of these, without any body tension, without any emotional negative filter, with positive one, you start notice opportunities, you start meet people naturally, see everything that the world gives you, and also make decisions with clarity. From the outside, it seems like that everything is going well, but internally the mechanism is absolutely the same. So your perception expands, your awareness sharps, and your behavior change somehow. It becomes aligned. So as a result, you interact differently and you have a different result. So why it feels like reality changes? I think it's just because your inner condition determines what you notice, how you react, how you act, and of course it also determines what outcomes follow. There are similar ideas in Stoic writings. I hope I pronounced it correctly, and I'm going to read them out loud. Stoic writings say that experience is shaped by internal judgment, not external events alone. Something like that. So you can test it directly right now. For example, if a bad small thing happened to you, what do you need to do? You have to stop, pause, and ask yourself, what is my internal state right now? For example, recently, a few days ago, I cut my finger, the mixer fell down on my head and it hit my head and I had a bruise, but right now I don't really have it. So it hurts, it still hurts. And that was incredibly good, just because when everything happened, I noticed that I was not in my real world. I was in my inner world. I was thinking about bad negative events. I was regretting about some events that happened recently. I was not fully present. So mixer fell down on my head and I caught my finger. When mixer fell down, I cried a lot. And I noticed my emotions and inner conditions. When I cut my finger, I stopped and started to think, what was my inner state right now and what I was thinking about at the moment when I cut my finger. And I realized that wasn't anything good. My body was intense. My attention was somewhere but not here. And of course, I put on the negative filter. So my reality responded immediately, also negative, the same way I felt inside myself. The key inside of my words is that your reality mirrors your inner world, not because the universe is trying to reach you and tells you something important, but just because your inner state shapes your perception. Your perception shapes behavior, and your behavior shapes outcomes. That's all. So if your outer life feels chaotic, start by examining your inner conditions. If your outer life is aligned, you can just notice this state that supports your reality. In order to change your reality, in order to have a beautiful mirror of your life, you just need to change your inner state. Because the only things that you can control are your perception, your attention, your reactions and actions. That is all. When those are aligned, your interaction with reality changes, and that is what creates the reflection you experience as your life. I think that's all for today. I shared my own experience. I showed you how I, using my inner state and condition, shape my reality, how I do this, how it works in my life. I hope I gave you some food for thought, and see ya. Bye.